I'm kind of laughing a little bit because I had this like big aha moment yesterday. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you're the CEO of your company. You're the founder. I imagine I'm the founder, and we're creative, and we have ideas. We want to do this. We want to do that. We are just like those entrepreneurs. Um, so it's kind of ironic that we're teaching people like, hey, you got to be structured. You got to follow a process. And yet we also are visionaries and like have all these wild ideas and want to break it. But we know it's super important to like have consistency, which is why we hire operations managers, which is why we hire a team around us to support us in being consistent.
Hey, Ernesto, welcome to Keep What You Earn.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So our audience just heard your quick introduction. Can you just kind of introduce yourself and say hello to everyone and tell everyone what you do?
Hola. My name is Ernesto. I'm from Miami, and I always wanted to get into restaurants and grew a fascination for how to connect the dots in restaurants. Studied systems engineering, and after a 10-year career of finding myself in these different roles across restaurants and startups, I really developed a fascination for just how things work and how companies grow and like what tools they have available to help them scale.
I love that. And we haven't talked about this yet, but I actually started my career. I worked at McDonald's for 6 years.
Oh,
And that's where I learned so much about systems and operations. Like, can you imagine a teenager already knowing the temperature everything had to be cooked at and the shelf life of everything and when to order inventory? And I was like, well, this is just part of the procedure. And I didn't realize like how much that can really help you have
oh
that
yeah,
mindset and like understand business.
oh yeah. Yeah, McDonald's is the most successful company in the world. It's the shining star, maybe not from a nutritional standpoint, but definitely from an efficiency standpoint.
Yeah, they had the greatest SOPs. We're going to talk about that too at some point today, but they had the greatest SOPs. I had to study them, and I still know, like 20 years later, I still know the data, which is insane that is how well they do in teaching. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about systems for the businesses of our listeners. So people always get the terms systems confused with software.
Yeah.
Like I need a system, and then what they mean is a software product or a SaaS product. Can you just kind of unpack your definition of what a system is and does for our listeners?
Yeah. So I define a system as three things. A system is made up of your people, of a playbook, and a tool or software, as you mentioned. People
Mm-hmm.
is, who's, and let's take a business. Let's take your business. You're CPA, you're an accounting firm. You have people
Yep.
that are running the firm. You have accountants working for you. You have admin. You have people offshore, marketing teams. You have people, and you have playbooks, how they are doing what they're doing, and then you have the technology or the software, and those are the tools that they're using. So
Yep.
software is just a tool. It's just a tool used to complete a task by a person. But a system is all of it. It's everything.
Yes, like system isn't just the machine, it's the whole assembly line of how it works, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Like QuickBooks is a software, but a system is like your company is a system. QuickBooks is just one of the
Yeah.
things, one of the tools that are being used.
So I hear entrepreneurs all the time saying, I need to build systems. I need to build more systems in my business. How do you know when you have that itch? Like, I think I need to systematize this. I know that maybe they just feel burnt out or they just feel like this, I don't know, this need for, hey, I need to build a system around this because I feel like I'm exhausted or I'm stressed about it. What is your advice to clients on that? Like when to know you need to create a system for something?
Well, you worked at McDonald's, right? They
Yeah.
what didn't they have a system for?
Oh my God, everything down. You guys have no idea how intentional they are, down to how many ketchup packets go in what type of bag and what type of bag is for what type of food. There is nothing haphazard or accidental about everything that happens in those four walls.
So the same thing with an entrepreneur. Nothing should be an accident in your business. It takes an unbelievable, unfathomable amount of consciousness and awareness to get to that level of detail. And that is the biggest challenge that entrepreneurs have. Like when I was in restaurants, we would just plug the hole that was in front of us. Like if it was a guest was happy or not happy, get them a free meal, like do whatever we need to like make the guest happy. And they would do that at the expense, like maybe, okay, give them a free steak at the expense of realizing, oh, wow, I just lost $100. And sometimes because we are very like short-sighted, we're just like, oh my God, we're just so much in reaction mode that we can't think longer term. We can't like do some of those
Yeah,
activities.
we're firefighters, not fighter proofers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool. And when we talk about the systems, right? You think about like a service provider, right? We use me as an example, but let's say you're like a consultant or something like that. Where do people start? It's really hard, like you said. We can't all be a McDonald's and systematize everything from day one. There's an
Right.
evolution. So, number one is, how do you know what to start with?
Um, everyone has a different path starting. Gotta ask what your goals are. What are my goals? So if I have a goal of what is one goal of yours actually 2023?
2023, one of my goals is to work less hours in the week.
Okay, great. Work less hours in the week. So if you want to work less hours in the week, maybe you have to hire someone to operate your business. And to do that, you need to have a training program. So for the people
Right.
listening who want to work less hours a week and want to maybe hire an admin or an operations manager, they're going to have to put together a training system, an onboarding program that has all of the different playbooks or SOPs or standard operating procedures that they need this person to follow. And then they need to be able to verify that. So that's just
Yep.
one example. Usually I recommend clients start with project management, even if it's like a to-do list app, just because usually at any point in time you're delivering 1 to 3 to 10 different offers or packages to people, and you want to like be able to keep track of all of the different the different projects that are being delivered at the same time. So that's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And where we started was I mapped out my customer journey,
Mm.
basically, of like every time we touch the customer.
Mm.
And I was like, how much of this has to be me? And how much of this could be, what do they call it? Automate, delegate, eliminate.
Yeah.
Like, is this value add? Can this be an automated email? Can my admin send it out instead of me? Can I delegate that down? All of those different things to ask yourself and to question. And one of the biggest challenges I see, and I struggled with this for 2 years, was when you have an offer that is not consistent across your customers, offers, pricing, and delivery, everyone ordered custom menu items.
Right. That's a disaster.
Can we talk about like consistency of offer and why that is so important to growing and having longevity in your business?
Yeah. I'm going through that right now, actually. The customer journey is an amazing example because as you start to say, let's say you have so I'm launching an offer. It's a year-long offer. You work with me for a month, for a year, and I see you once a month. And there's group calls multiple times a month, and a lead negotiated with me, instead of once a month, let's do it twice a month, but for 30-minute sessions, and that's going to be the change. And
we're like, as entrepreneurs, no big deal. We could do that.
yeah,
Why not?
I said,
Right?
you know what? You're the first customer. I'm gonna, that's great. I'm gonna do it. But on the back end, I go back, for those who don't know what Zapier is. Zapier is a integration tool that helps you connect your Calendly with your email tool with this one and the other one. Now I have, I would, you would set up these rules to connect these processes. And because now this customer has a different package, I have to draw up a whole new set of rules and do a whole new set of integrations. And now every time you have a different menu item, or a package or whatever, you're going to have to keep drawing those different integration paths. And like, you can do all of that, but you're going to basically drive yourself crazy. You're going to spend all your energy doing that. So
Yeah.
keep one offer.
I've been
or
there.
two.
I have been there. I have been there myself. And it actually like 6X's the time to implement such a thing and go off script and go off menu. The analogy I use all the time is like, let's say you run a taco truck and someone says, "Hey, I want a cheeseburger." And you're like, "Well, I have ground beef and I have cheese and I have bread, so I could do that."
Yeah, but
But like it throws off the whole thing, because it's like, and then I want one and then I want one. And I'm like, okay, what am I selling anymore? You lose your identity and go, wait, what are we doing? And it took me, it's like a chicken and the egg thing though, because you say we have to build the training program and the SOPs. And I go, well, we need to have SOP-able things, because like we have to have standards to have standard operating procedures.
Correct.
And I think people get cut in this loop of, ooh, I don't think I have any one. There's a whole lot of "but if" in my SOP.
Yeah. That diamond.
What do you recommend for those entrepreneurs who are going, yeah, I'm kind of just serving each client based on what they want and need help organizing that?
I invite listeners to inquire as to, where is that coming from? Where is the people pleasing coming from? Because ultimately it's self-sabotaging and it's serving no one, just your ego and the ego's desire to make another $1,000 sale, whatever, and it's not serving your higher self. Because yes, it's taking that steak and putting it down, but it's not helping you in the long term. And so,
I agree.
Yeah. Ask yourself, like, why are you people pleasing?
Yeah. And for me, the awakening moment was I finally hired my first kind of operations manager, and she looked at this and she was like, "Shannon, what the hell?" So like my people pleasing went from pleasing my clients to pleasing her. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Someone you're dealing with every day, which is great, which changes the game. And I'm kind of laughing a little bit because I had this like big aha moment yesterday. You're the CEO of your company. You're the founder. I imagine I'm the founder, and we're creative and we have ideas and we want to do this and we want to do that. And we are just like those entrepreneurs. So it's kind of ironic that we're teaching people like, hey, you got to be structured, you got to follow a process, and yet we also are visionaries and like have all these wild ideas and want to break it. But we know it's super important to like have consistency, which is why we hire operations managers, which is why we hire a team around us to support us in being consistent.
Yeah. And it's that accountability that we all need, because it is human nature to want to say yes and not feel rejected, and to want to get the yeses out of our clients and to work with people, because there are some clients who I've said yes to because I'm like, I just want to work with you because this seems like a really pleasant experience. And then I look at the business case for it and go, oh my God, like, what was I thinking?
Well,
it's like agreeing to plans for later with your friends, and you're like, why did I do this?
At least you're actually doing the lessons learned activity of asking yourself, why did I do this? And what did I learn from it? What I didn't learn. Most people.
Well, and then I keep doing it, but then eventually it catches up, and I'm like,
eventually it hits.
That yes hangover. Yep. I totally feel that. What do you think when we talk about systems, right, and implementing systems for your business? Can you just throw out some examples for our listeners of things they may not be considering that could be systematized, or the key systems that your clients have experienced that really were game changers in how they operate? And feel free to use context of type of business too, because I know it will totally vary based on that.
Yeah. Well, if you're a coach or you're a consultant, you have to, well, okay, if you're a coach, you have to create intention in your sessions. So one key tool software that I use is called Tally. It is a form builder. It's like Google Forms, and that helps me collect a lot of information prior to sessions. So sometimes you get to a session and you're kind of like catching up and see what's that. By the time you actually get into the meat of the session, like 15 minutes have gone by. When someone's paying you $500 an hour, you want that time to be extremely valuable. So I really love using form builders to collect information ahead of time so that like we're in the session, client knows that you're taking things very seriously and you're right in it. You could do the personal catch up stuff afterwards. But yeah, collecting information ahead of time and like getting people used to intaking information is super important, whether it's your ongoing sessions as a coach or a consultant, any service provider, when you're first onboarding a customer, when you are collecting collect feedback through forms, when customers churn or when they choose to not continue working with you, you want to collect the feedback. Really, like the feedback loop is just the most important thing possible, and then like reading the feedback on a weekly or monthly basis. That's probably the most important system you could design and integrate, because that's where all the learning
Yeah.
happens.
I think the best kindling for the fire of your growth is customer experience and
Yeah,
customer service. So like if you can create an exceptional customer experience through that feedback and accelerate that ability to fix, close blind spots, right? And actually be able to build a really unique customer experience, then marketing is easier, then fulfillment is
everything's
easier, then
easier.
everything's easier,
Yeah,
and you have natural referrals coming through because you've got a really good offer and delivery. So I would advocate that the first system to focus on is delivery of your service, so that your marketing can be exceptional, but if you're leading them to an offer that's subpar, then the journey stops there.
the journey stops. Yeah. Even if your offer, even if for those just starting out, like even if your offer is, hey, I you'll buy 5 hours of time, and that's it, that's all you have, and you don't have any ongoing service, make those the best 5 hours that someone has ever gone through, because you will then just have so many referrals from that.
Yeah. And delivering that experience means doing the homework before, after, having a process around it. I think people respect, like, just throw me in a process. And like,
Yeah,
I want to know what to
tell me
expect.
what to do.
Yeah, and it's the little things, like you mentioned the forms on information ahead of time. We actually do that with CFO clients, to be like, how have your goals changed since our last call? What are you currently focusing on in your business? What's your biggest challenge right now? Questions like that, because we want to meet them where they're at and
Yeah,
know what they want to walk away with in that phone call to feel successful.
right.
The other thing is, like, as a coaching client, what would be super cool, which my coach does not do, but this idea just occurred to me, so everyone feel free to steal it, is if you have a text messaging service like we do, you could actually text the client, depending on your boundaries, right? You can text the client that morning, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling open to coaching today? Where are you at? Because like sometimes you come all prepared, like, I can't wait to just have breakthroughs with this person, and we're going to talk about this and all this stuff they were struggling with, but like they may be having a day.
Sure.
They may not be receiving that well. So I think having some type of way to check in, especially if you're in a business like that, is super helpful, because it's like, wow, they were like really considering, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling up to this? My trainer does this with me. She'll text me in the morning of our workout and go, how are you doing? Are you sore? anything bothering you, anything you want to avoid today.
Yeah.
And it gives me an opportunity to vocalize that, which is insanely valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. Just feeling, people just want to feel heard.
Totally. Totally.
I
So
mean,
client experience is huge.
clients and employees, right?
Oh,
Eventually you build a
yes.
team, like
Yes.
they want the same stuff also.
Yeah, exactly. In the feedback loop and all of that stuff too. You really have to be open to hearing it, and being able to implement it and being willing to implement it so that you can create that exceptional experience that people want to work with you, as an employee or as a client.
Yeah.
And, but let's actually go through it. Onboarding. What do you have to say to the entrepreneur who's currently manually sending contracts via email and sending out invoices, or God forbid, guys, a Venmo request?
Um,
Or a text message, please pay.
the For those listening, and I used to be like this, we want to be right. We're a CFO advisory firm. We know our stuff. We want to know that the client knows that we know our stuff. But more often than not, uh, we have to, like you said earlier, like we have to meet them where they're at. So it's like, what are your goals for this year? Okay, great. And like, depending on their goals, their vision, what they want to work on, that's when we'll start picking away at the iceberg of manualness that they got going. Like, don't ever shame your clients for